Hi. So, I just wanted to pop on really quick and let you know that my schedule is changing a bit. I think. I don't know. So, for that reason, I'm going to close my books for personal readings for the time being. Obviously, the people who already have readings scheduled, nothing changes for you. We will do those readings on those dates and times, but I'm just not going to take any new bookings, at least for right now. So obviously, I will let you know if that changes. We're talking about May. Shouts out to you, May babies, Taurus and Gemini. I'm a cusper. My birthday is on the 20th. Oh my gosh. So, anyway, without further ado, let's get into the reading. We're going to be using the Angels and Ancestors Oracle deck. And then we're using this tarot deck. I need to find the name of it. It doesn't come with a book, which is really annoying to me, but I'll figure it out. I'll Google it because I have no clue. I got it a couple years ago. So without further ado, and obviously because of my schedule, the videos are going to come out probably a bit more sporadically. Just an FYI on that too, if you care. But yeah, let's get into it. All right, let's see who's next. Got it sticking together. Sagittarius. It's funny because I was like standing at this desk for a second, trying to decide if I wanted to, sit down and do a message, and I felt like I was literally pushed. So that's kind of funny. But let's get an oracle card for you. I also I just feel like I don't feel like talking loud. I don't even know what that means, but I don't feel like projecting my voice, I guess. I mean, I don't have to. I have a little microphone, but anyway, I don't know. Just kind of interesting. Anytime, sensations like that come up during a reading, I feel like it's part of the message in some capacity. So anyway, what is a message for Sagittarius? Overall vibe. Spring. I'm laughing because all of the messages that I've done so far have been cards that have been either a season or an animal. They all kind of have this same background. There's a circle, and we have yet to see one of these. We have yet to see a person, I should say. A person-looking figure. Which I don't know. I feel like that's so interesting out of this whole deck. But, there's nothing wrong with it. And I don't know what this is on my hands. So, sorry, I had my hands in soil this morning. I was making or finishing up a couple bowls that people bought. Who knows? So, we have spring. See your seeds grow. I love this. Not only, of course, this is a beautiful card, but we are in spring and things are starting to sprout, right? You can see leaves growing on trees, or just, the little buds, they're starting to turn green. And I believe there's, okay, we'll figure that out later. The hair out of the way. There's an eclipse on, is it tomorrow or Friday? And I just saw this video on TikTok that was talking about how this is kind of the like culmination of the eclipse that would have happened, I think, in 2021. So if you think back to, maybe it was 2022. In any case, I wish it was just easier for me to like go look it up. But anyway, if you think back to, the last year or two of your life, and, even like the seeds that you planted a year or two ago. And I will look after I do this video, so I'll put it on the screen specifically if it was 2021 or 2022. That way you can kind of ponder on that and just kind of take stock of what's changed for you. Okay. We'll take them because they came out weird like that. We have the Hanged Man, the Son of Swords or the Knight of Swords, the Sun, the Queen of Wands. I love the cocoon vibe of the Hanged Man. Yeah, okay, 2 more. We have the Father of Wands, interesting, and the Nine of Swords. And then Strength at the bottom of the deck, Daughter of Wands. Very interesting. I get the feeling that these should be switched. And I mean, we'll talk about them in both ways, hopefully, if I remember. Anyway. And I'm not switching them because like I don't want that to come from me, So anyway, like I said, we'll probably just talk about them in both ways. So we start with the Hanged Man, which is so effing perfect with this see your seeds grow, because I should have, hold on. Okay. To just like kind of turn this thing around so we could see this full card here. So, the Hanged Man is about willful suspension. There is kind of like a delay aspect to it, but it's like purposeful. The purpose of being in suspension is to see things from a different perspective, or just to allow things to either like catch up to you or unfold as they will, or it's like I keep getting this image of like your hands being tied, but your hands are being tied so that you don't get your hands in the process, right? Like, so you can't start controlling things. Not that necessarily like Sagittarius is like controlling, but you know how like we get something in our heads, right? And or in our hearts or whatever, and we want it to unfold and look and feel a certain way because we think that's what's best for us, right? And when we do that, we don't allow surprises, we don't allow something better than what we could have even imagined to come in, right? It's almost like blocking blessings is kind of the thing with that. So that's just like the vibe that I'm getting from the Hanged Man, and especially with it being at night, like, there could have been a dark night of the soul type situation going on over the last, like I said, over the last year or the last 2 years. Lots of, because when a caterpillar goes into or creates a cocoon, right, they turn to goo. They completely undo themselves, right, in order to transform into a butterfly. So that could have been like the vibe that you've been feeling over the last little while, which can definitely be uncomfortable. And maybe, like you have been learning about releasing and surrendering, and even maybe you have been surprised by a few things in the process of doing so. Like just surprised at how things have worked out, whether they worked out better or not. But I'm getting a feeling that it worked out better in most cases than you thought it could, you know? And I love that it's paired with the Mother of Wands, who's the Queen of Wands, because talk about butterfly, right? Like this, I feel, would be, I mean, any of the queens could be this butterfly, but it's fire, which is obviously Sagittarius. We have four fire cards out here. And I'm pretty sure, what is the Hanged Man? Is that water? So, queens are when we embody the energy of the suit ourselves. Like we recognize the energy of the suit within ourselves. And it's like, we live that energy. And like I said, right, it's fire, very much your vibe. And I think specifically the King of Wands is Sagittarius. So I also love that that's out here. But the Queen of Wands is confident. There's a certainty about them. Action, or excuse me, I'm getting too ahead of myself. Wands have to do with action, communication, creativity, passion. It's our motivation, right? Like, how are we communicating our desires? How are we communicating our creativity? What actions are we taking towards those things? And I see wands as being information and wisdom, because that's what we get by trying things, right? Is like we learn what works, we learn what doesn't, we discover what we like, what we don't like. And with the queen, again, it's embodying the energy. This could be like radical self-acceptance, self-love, even, recognizing and discovering, really sinking into what lights you up. How do you like getting creative? What are your passions, right? Like, what are you passionate about? And then we have the Knight of Swords. And the Knight of Swords is the fastest moving knight in the deck. Swords have to do with our minds, it's our perceptions, it's ideas. Again, even communication, because how are we communicating those things? It's logic. And it's also ego, because that's generally where we hear our ego is in our minds. And our ego is created by, like the stories that we attach to experiences. So there could have been like this big kind of deconstruction, thing happening with really kind of taking a look at yourself, or it's going to be happening. You could be, this could be in the past. This could be presently what you're going through. This could be something that you are going into with this cocoon here. It really depends, right, on your situation. So, of course, take what resonates. But, there's this tornado here. So that's why, I'm just kind of getting this, like, maybe even feeling like a whirlwind. Maybe even feeling like you've been in a wind tunnel. Or you are in a wind tunnel. This could even be some sort of breakthrough, like some sort of paradigm shift, like realization, because I'm getting this feeling of how it's like how fast a tornado can show up and how fast it can just disappear, right? Like if the conditions are right, there it is, and be a bit unpredictable even. But with it being a swords card and having to do with our mind, and especially, like up there we have the third eye, we have crown chakras, right? Even the throat, because swords do have to do with how are we communicating those things that are happening in our minds, right? And it's like, even what is a story that we tell about these experiences that we've had in our lives, right? Like I was saying with ego and how that's created. It's like, what is a story that we have attached to ourselves or our lives, or, the potential for things. So again, it feels like there could be some sort of download, some sort of breakthrough, like something just being kind of dropped into your consciousness. And maybe that's even something that happens as you're talking out loud to somebody. And it's just like all of a sudden something makes sense that either didn't before, or like wasn't considered, or it's something along those lines. But what it does is it takes you kind of out of this Queen of Wands energy, where, like I said, right, it's like you have to recognize something within yourself so that you can share it with other people, and you can explain it to other people, and you can, say, I know this works or it doesn't work because this is my experience with it. And that's when we move on to the king, because the king is generally a leader, right? I mean, it's the highest expression of the suit. They typically have a kingdom that they're overseeing, and people look to them for guidance, or, as an example, even. So it's kind of like, whatever this process is, has been, the seeds that were planted, whenever they were planted, even if they're being planted now, it causes this transformation from, going to, from the mother to the father, going from the queen to the king, as far as like energy goes. It's also really interesting how in both of these cards, there's a storm going on. I'm trying to figure out what is going on in this. I'm not really sure. It kind of looks like leaves or something. I mean, clearly there's, a wand going straight up the middle, which almost even kind of feels like developing a backbone. Not that like you didn't have a backbone, but it's like boundaries, and again, like, knowing your worth, like really like that radical self-acceptance that I was talking about before, and just kind of how that makes you stand up a little bit straighter. It's just like that little shift of energy. And maybe you've even recognized people in your life, like they recognize it too, because their behavior around you or towards you has even shifted a little bit. Maybe you're taking less shit from people. This also, feels like Kundalini ish. And again, it is interesting how all these cards, and I'm sure that all of the court cards have something going up, kind of the center of them, whatever suit it is. But it is really kind of interesting to see, 3 cards out here, 3 court cards, and the similarities. Because over here on the Mother of Wands, it's like, the wand is a bit more controlled, a bit more, polished, maybe, like really kind of showing up in a certain way, like, depending on how you have constructed your character, right? Like I'm thinking like video game or something, like, how do you like allow yourself to be perceived in the real world? Like, are you really well put together, well dressed, makeup really nice, hair nice, and then we have this Knight of Swords, that it almost even like the silhouette even just looks like a canvas, like it doesn't look like they have any hair. There's this tornado going through here. So it's like things are just like getting, or are going to get like just kind of mixed up, but like in a good way. And then we on the King of Wands, no more is that wand so perfect. I mean, I know that this is lightning, but that still looks like a wand to me, and it looks like there's lightning even coming off of it. So again, right, it's like this expression of going back to even these seeing your seeds grow. It's like there's all of these branches now that weren't there before. Or again, like that's how this is what you would be going into. And I also love how it's not just contained inside of this like silhouette, it's coming out. I mean, this even kind of like looks chaotic, but it doesn't feel that way. It feels like emitting energy in a way that like a fire sign can emit energy. That's fucking beautiful. Are you kidding me? I'm so glad I was like pushed to like sit down and do this reading. That is amazing. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be part of this with you and bring you this message. I'm just like, I'm sitting here in like so much gratitude. And speaking of, like before we kind of like get to the end, if you have made it this far, thank you so much. That definitely helps me. And speaking of help, if you haven't already, like the video or dislike it. Honestly, it's engagement and I appreciate it. Leave a comment, even if it's just an emoji. I love emojis. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification button if you want to be notified when I post new videos, which is usually at least once a month. But yeah, my intention is to grow this beautiful community, and I cannot do that without you. And I do really appreciate you being here. So we have the sun. It's interesting that there's 2 cards of Leo out here. I wonder if you have, like significant Leo placements or whatever, or wherever Leo is in your chart. Maybe take a look at that and see if there's anything going on in there, if you care about it. It could even just be like, kind of taking on the characteristics a little bit of Leo. But the sun is like everything good. Every good feeling, it's joy, it's bliss. It's the literal fire, right? The literal fire sign. It like gives life, right? I mean, like we wouldn't even exist in a certain capacity without the sun. It could even be a reminder or an invitation to get more sun. Like just sitting outside for 10 or 15 minutes a day, going for a walk, connecting, like literally with that fire, right? And, like there's these little trees and bushes and stuff in there, which again is just kind of bring me back to this see your seeds grow. So it's interesting that it's paired with the 9 of Swords, because the 9 of Swords is about, anxiety, fear, the things that keep you up at night. 9s are also a completion, though. It's individual completion. So there is something here that maybe it's because of the sun energy, like something, again, with this, shift that's happening over here, it's going to clear out this 9 of Swords energy. It could even be just like illuminating, like shining a light on what this is for you. Like maybe it's like not all the way done, this process. There's still like a little bit more to like release or decondition or, whatever. And what's interesting is that if it were this way, then, this tornado would be like shaking up this 9 of Swords energy I mean, of course, like the Nine of Swords, it's still going to be that, right? But it's like, I feel like this even looks right. And I think that's just because of this, like this makes more sense and this makes more sense. I don't know. But I mean, like I said, we're going to talk about it both ways anyway. But this shakeup, this whirlwind would be shaking up this Nine of Swords energy, like the things that do stress you out or the things that do lead to anxiety for you. There would be some level of completion with that. And then after that would be the Sun, and then stepping into this full expression of the Wands card, where no more is it just kind of contained within you, but now it's being, shared and expressed with other people. And that's because this happened. This, shakeup with this Nine of Swords happened. And then we have the Strength card at the bottom of the deck, which is, determination, perseverance, is inner strength. And like I was even saying, with Kundalini energy, because there's this pelvic bone down here, and, there's a snake that's snaking its way up. That's generally, like Kundalini starts in the root and goes up. That might be something that you would want to look into, or if you have looked into it, or the Daughter of Wands or the Page of Wands. This is like excitement for, the Page of Wands is enthusiastic. They're excited for like a new adventure. And fireworks to me just kind of signify like celebration. It's also like one of those things where, like fairy tales or like romantic whatever movies or whatever, people always like kind of talk about like they want to have fireworks with somebody. Like that's how this feels. It's like something just kind of like connects and then there's fireworks. I mean, it could even be by 4th of July, something could really start to take shape for you. Because, I mean, I'm just thinking like usually 4th of July is when you see fireworks. But also, I mean, like it could just be a thing like if you see fireworks in whatever capacity, it could be, like a message for you. We have the Five of Swords, which is, I always see the Five of Swords as being like a battle of wits. But it's interesting how it's depicted as, legs on this spider, but they're not even connected. So again, it's even that like deconstruction thing. Like if you have a competitive mindset or, again, like I was saying, like a battle of wits, like if you are kind of in that energy or feel like you've had to be in that energy of competition, then again, it's like that is also kind of being picked apart, literally, because like I said, like none of these swords are like connected to the snake, to the spider. So it's like they're coming off. It's really kind of interesting. And then we have the Star, which is trusting the process, following your true north. It's faith, it's hope. Big trust and surrender, though, vibes. Page of Cups, Six of Cups, Six of Pentacles. Yeah, I mean... It is, though, kind of interesting that... It is really kind of interesting. We have one water card out here, and it still took like 4 or 5 fire and air cards. Air, fire, air. So it's like, it's a lot of mental and a lot of motivation, action stuff going on. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you again so much for being here. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.